How's it going, everyone? We are live. Today I have some special guests with us from the Only1 project on Solana. Leon and Dan, how's it going, guys?
Yeah,
Doing good.
it's going great.
Awesome. It's great to have you guys on. I'd love for you guys to just introduce what you are. Dan, of course, I'll give a brief introduction, then you guys can elaborate. Dan is the CTO at Only1, and then we also have Leon here, who is the founder and CEO. So you guys can kind of take it away from there, maybe explain what you guys are doing, and then give a short intro on what Only1 is for anyone who's not aware.
Dan, you can start.
Yeah, I can go first. Hey, my name is Dan, and I'm CTO of the Only1. I've been in the crypto space for a while, since 2019. I've been working for Dash and Prior, and afterwards for Binance in Binance Smart Chain department. That's the decentralized exchange, Binance.org. And currently, we're trying to build something new here. The Only1 on the edge of the DeFi products and social platforms, something between the OnlyFans, Patreon, and everything in the Web3.
Cool.
Awesome.
And this is Leon. Coming from a very different background, I was trained as a genetic engineer, and my first startup was in biotech. Invested in a few ICOs around 2016-17. Most of them I got wrecked because things never got listed. And however, that got me really interested in this space. And I'm myself very interested in social media. So creator economy is a problem that I think has been around for many years, and it's something that we as a team are very keen to solve. And we think Web3 is the way to do it. And looking forward to tell you more about Only1.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. And so, just from my understanding, you guys are kind of doing a unique innovation on sort of the play to earn hype, everything going on with NFTs and sort of creating this platform where you have a create to earn. And I really like the funnel you guys have set up, right? You have the creator has a way to earn. Users have a use case of unlocking content, but then also whoever purchased that content in the form of NFTs, giving them sort of this intellectual property, is able to earn through users when they go to unlock that content. And just looking at your roadmap, kind of just to jump in, I know you guys are not in mainnet yet, but it looks like you guys have a working D app in testnet and beta. How is that coming along so far?
It's actually not in the testnet. It is running on the mainnet right now. And
awesome.
If you have any like tokens on the mainnet, you can actually go to our platform and stake your tokens and get a pretty decent APY.
Awesome. Yeah, I apologize for that. I must have just skimmed past that on the website. So on the mainnet, what are you currently able to get into right now?
Let me explain this one. So
yeah,
just jumping back to you mentioning create to earn, we were a bit hesitant on using that word because I think at this point it's a little bit cliche almost because X to earn has become a formula. But essentially that does summarize what we're trying to do because this is me talking to the audience as well. Like I'm sure everyone here is using social media, for example, YouTube. And the problem with Web2 social media is as a YouTuber yourself, Greg, should you want to monetize on YouTube, you do have to depend on them giving you the ad revenue and such. And when you're talking about sensitive things like crypto or even politics, you're always at the risk of getting demonetized or censored, right? And then on social media like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, as an influencer, some of them it's a full-time job, and they don't necessarily get compensated appropriately because they have to depend on things like affiliate links, merchandise sale, paid ads, shout outs, all that good stuff. So it's a dream for a while that creators should be able to monetize directly by simply being active, producing good content, and engaging with a very loyal and helpful community. And that has been, people try to realize that dream on Web3 ever since 2016-17 with the platforms like Steemit, Mithril, and fast forward to recent years, we have things like BitCloud, we have things like Rally, Roll, User, and so on. And so we're just trying to create a different take on allowing creators to monetize directly. And we use something called creator staking pools. So that's what Dan was trying to explain there. By staking tokens in the pool, you are doing two things. number one, you are essentially supporting the content creators because their APY is dependent on their activity. So the more active you are as a creator across social platforms, the higher the APY, the more likely people stake, the more the creator earns. And the stakers are actually also performing as governors on the platform because on traditional social media like Instagram, for example, Facebook probably have a whole building full of community managers just trying to ban and block people that are posting malicious content, all the negativity. And so instead of having a centralized corporation dictating what type of content should or should not be posted, it would be the users. It would be the actual community that consume the content deciding what should and should not be on the platform.
Awesome. Yeah. And that makes, excuse me, that makes a ton of sense there. Like there is massive issues with censorship and allowing people to put out their content and then also ownership of your content. We've seen in this recent craze with non fungible tokens that people's intellectual property is a lot more valuable than it may seem from the get go. Individual artists are able to generate a lot more value for those things. And just to jump back on track, I'm curious what is kind of the current interaction with your guys' mainnet? Are you seeing how many users are you seeing on there, total value lock, things like that? How has that come along so far?
Currently, we have around more than 1,500 stakers, and the current total TVL is more than 7 million like tokens,
Yeah, that's awesome.
and
So
it's growing.
yeah, and I mean that's like off to a great start. I'm curious, how long have you guys been in mainnet for?
Around 1 month, I think, right now.
Awesome. Yeah. So you guys are already seeing users jumping on the platform. And it's also important to note that stakers are people who are going in and actually locking up their tokens, earning like as well. So that's awesome. If you have like, that's a great way to jump in. And kind of on this whole aspect of getting the community involved in the sense of whether it's staking, earning rewards. Can we talk a bit about? I know I saw you guys have your Only1 NFTs. Can we talk a bit about those and their mechanics?
Yeah, so about NFTs, I think the technology in the industry, right? Like before we talk about only one, I think
Yeah.
NFT is a little bit being misused right now,
Okay.
because NFT as collectibles is how most people remember NFTs. Like it's been made popular by things like CryptoKitties, CryptoPunks, Bored Ape, and leading into different ecosystem. You have DJ Ape, Aori, and stuff like that. And personally, I think that the future of NFTs is going to be really utility driven. NFT as a technology, right, as a digital unique identifier, can serve many purposes and not just to represent a piece of digital art. So, for example, we're seeing that trend happening already across the gaming space, for example, like digital ownership of in game items. Is something that gamers do care about. So I think that application does make a lot of sense. And the utility of the NFTs on Only1 is basically all about governance. Because as I explained earlier, a social platform cannot function without some sort of governance because community needs to be managed. If the platform is supposed to be for kids, you don't want to see violence or nudity, right? If the platform is, for crypto, you don't maybe you don't want to have too much censorship about crypto, right? So I think ultimately the governance which we will build in the future is going to be allowing these DAO members, the people that hold the one's NFT, to help create proposals and vote, and even have certain amount of control about like what types of content are allowed or not allowed, encouraged. And we even have something very fancy. We call it proof of content. Obviously, a play on proof of stake or proof of work. Basically, any content creator, they can be posting content. And if this content creator gets enough staker to be voted down, then his return on the platform will be slashed, meaning decreased. So it's a way of community managing content creators as well, and that creates this circular loop where we create a healthy and actually engaging social platform.
Yeah, that's actually really unique. I like the idea of not only having the sort of collection NFTs, because those are obviously great. It's what the market is demanding currently, but taking it a step further, making sure it does have some use case there that people are able to participate in the DAO and sort of jump on and get governance of the protocol. And moving forward, I really like how you touched on sort of the system you have for managing content that's going around in the community versus having sort of a team or a bunch of bots just instantly taking down posts and then a team working on it. You're sort of involving the community there and really letting the community decide what goes up on the platform. Just curious, like while we're on this topic of kids content or what kind of content, what are you guys gearing Only1s towards? I mean, the first thing that comes to mind, I think for a lot of people, is OnlyFans. Is that where you guys are planning to go down, or is it sort of just like an open platform?
So I think it's quite important for us to have a rather generic start, right? Because restricting the platform to not safe for work content would really limit people's imagination of what this platform or this model can become. So initially, we're going to have a rather standardized community guideline, which we probably will not allow adult content at the beginning. So for those audience that are expecting OnlyFans on the blockchain, that's not where we're building. Perhaps you can check out other ones like you know the ones I'm thinking about. And however, that said, when we have enough network participants, when the DAO member is actually big enough, I think they will be taking the wheel. Like, let's say we have 1 million users on the platform, and 51% of them decided that, you know what, we want adult content. And if that proposal were to pass, then it's actually going to become allowed. And they would be living with the decisions that they would make, and the platform will evolve as the community decides. Or maybe, I don't know, like maybe this is more like for Dan, but we could always just fork the entire platform and make, I don't know, only X or something.
No, yeah.
Only two, only three.
I like that. I like how you guys are looking to keep it open, like expand multiple avenues of content and not really pigeonhole yourselves to a model that's already out there. So I think that's unique. I just thought that was a fun question to segue to because I think that's probably where a lot of people's minds go, just hearing the only, as that's something that's popped up recently. And just kind of moving forward in the regards of development, you guys are doing a bunch right now. Something that, and let's see, maybe hopefully this isn't out yet and I didn't just totally botch my research, but you guys have a mobile app on the way, and other things coming along. I'll kind of leave it there. I'm curious for the mobile app because this is huge for something like social media, right?
Yeah, it's a good question. Currently, we are trying to validate all of our ideas on the desktop first because it's just easier, and we are a startup at the MVP stage, and we want to validate the core ideas and the core values. It is the staking and some social features like private DMs and lockable content. And after we're sure this all works and that's what the people need, we will start developing our mobile app in early 2022.
I think it's worth mentioning that, as with any startups, any other projects would probably agree, is that you don't want to build a behemoth of functions that are untested and unvalidated, right? So the idea is really to ship frequent rather than shipping big, and build the features one by one. And when the platform on the web app, which is easier to build than a native mobile app, let's just say, and once that feature is being ironed out and we can actually have product market fit, that's when we might want to, create the mobile app version. We're thinking about Flutter just to make sure it's cross-platform. That would actually help us a lot in terms of user acquisition. And however, like you said, social media is very important smartphones are very important for social platforms because I can't remember the last time I used Instagram on Chrome, right? I also think that the future of crypto is going to be on mobile as well. That it's a trend that I'm seeing. Like a lot of platforms are starting to think about mobile apps, and a really cool idea would be, and we're not going to build this, but I wish someone would. It's a app store for decentralized application on native, like Play Store on or iOS.
Yeah, that would definitely be interesting, and I 100% see where you're getting with that, with the mobile phone, and even to take a step back, I agree with that as well. We at BSC News have built a mobile app, and it's kind of just our first iteration of it, the V1, and especially for something like you guys, where you're recognizing that okay, the end goal is of course social media on mobile phones. I think it's important making sure you get your product market fit before you dive in, and obviously, you guys are going to spend a ton of resources on this mobile app. And for something to like dive in right off the gun and then realize, oh, wait, we should have added this feature, or maybe this feature isn't quite what we expected it to do. I think that's a great way to kind of go about it and make sure that you're doing these incrementally. And then, yeah, shipping frequently is massive. Just showing the community that you guys are there, you're building, and getting feedback on those things. So, definitely think that is overall a great decision there, for that. And just to kind of touch on it while we're on the end of building and development, your guys' team page is, I mean, what took me by surprise was the experience. You guys look like you have people that are experienced both in crypto but outside of that as well. I'm curious if you could touch on the team a little bit. How has that team kind of banded together? How many members are there? And where are you guys currently standing with that?
Mm. We've been getting this question since the earlier days of before even the IDO, and back then was easier when the team was small. But now I feel like I'm not sure if I should give a spotlight to everyone or should we like highlight a few. But yeah, obviously we have Dan here, which has been with us since very very early days, and he's been invaluable to the development of the platform with the experiences in crypto and also in real life. Sorry, real life applications. Um, I think before I introduce some of the team, I think crypto has gone to a stage where I think for marketing wise, real traditional marketing skill sets are just as important as cryptocurrency marketing skill sets. For example, because Twitter and AMAs and airdrops and like all that is fun and all, but we're also trying to like experiment with using traditional CRM tools, email marketing, doing more like mainstream social media marketing, like on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and not just on Twitter. So I think that's something that we're experimenting on. And regarding the team, we have maybe Dan can introduce more of the dev side later, but we have our COO, Joey, who comes from traditional tech. We have our marketing person Morning, who came from also traditional tech, like traditional startup, not in blockchain. And we also have a few other members. Everyone is very key to the project. Dan, you want to talk about the dev team?
Yep. We have two blockchain engineers and one front end engineer at the current stage, and plus me. I'm a full stack, and we most of the engineers, they come from the blockchain backgrounds. Uh, yeah, and all of them, they have a good experience.
Awesome. Yeah, and what I really liked about the team is it seemed like there's a balance there of the intersection between traditional sort of, um, just, I don't even know. I got to say traditional, like I'm used to saying finance, but I guess kind of just traditional startups in tech, and then also people who have been inside of crypto as well. So I think having a strong intersection of that is amazing, and letting the team kind of balance off each other. I am curious here, what sort of content do you think is going to be viable on the platform? Actually, while we are here, I popped open the mainnet. It looks like you guys already have some creators on there and stuff. I'm curious, what kind of content are you guys looking to push out? And correct me if I'm wrong, but it doesn't look like there's anything there quite yet. So, what is the outlook on that?
So essentially, we are starting off as like a decentralized Patreon that we help creators monetize by creating these creator staking pool. Like this is sort of our minimal viable product, so to speak, because like the smart contract part is actually the most important because having a decentralized creator economy means we have to have these smart contracts ironed out, and these cannot have any errors. So this is what we're shipping and testing, and so far it's been working perfectly. Basically, they take some social media activity data from other platforms, and that way we calculate the APY for those creators, and that would affect how audiences chooses to stake or not stake in certain creators. Of course, the algorithm will evolve over time. And then there's also the social part, which, as you rightfully pointed out, is not yet there because we haven't shipped it. And the types of content that we expect to see, I would personally guess heavily crypto dependent because at the moment we are working with a lot of cryptocurrency based influencers. And I think that's also our first sort of early adopters as well, is people that are already into crypto. So, however, we are also focusing on three main categories when it comes to mainstream. That's esports, music, and athletes. So these are the three categories that we really try to look into. I'm actually flying tomorrow to LA to have this crossover event with Ableton. Ableton is this music
Yeah.
production company, and we're gonna have an event with like 30 to 40 artists and musicians and celebrities on TikTok, and tell them more about like why should you learn more about crypto? Why should you learn more about NFTs? What the future holds for the influencers on the internet? And I mean, Greg, I think a lot of YouTubers out there are not as crypto savvy as yourself. So I think it's seminars like that that could really help the industry even just for a little bit.
Definitely. And I think there's a couple things to unpack here. First is the crypto content. Right when I saw box mining on there, I was like, oh, this makes a ton of sense. Like having your favorite crypto content creators on something like Only Ones, that is where I 100% see the use case working, right? People are going to pay to unlock some of this premium content. Like that's something that is 100% already going on. And this makes it a much more seamless and intuitive way to do it. I also was like, I asked this question because I was specifically thinking like what content goes on here. And when you say sports, gaming, what was the last one
Music.
that I missed? Music. Like that is a no-brainer. That's obviously the content people are looking for. And that sort of segues into another one of the questions I have. And you touched on it a little bit, but onboarding not only crypto users, so obviously that's the sort of first hurdle. And it sounds like you guys are on the right track there. How are you guys looking to kind of onboard the average user? And it sounds like you're already leaning towards the path of using influencers and sort of traditional trends. Where do you guys see going with that? And I know this Ableton event pretty well answers that question, but
I
maybe you
think
have some more elaboration.
I think I have this perspective about the whole industry. I think, having been around since earlier years, like 2016, 17, I think back then 99% of the users of any blockchain-based platforms are simply there to make a quick buck. And most users are not really there because the platform solves a real-life problem. But I think that is slowly changing. I think till this day, I would say maybe 80% users are here to make money, but there's actually more than 10% people here that are actually using the platform because either they find the game fun, or maybe it gives them real quality music that are free, or maybe it's a social platform, or it could be anything, right? And so I think there's going to be more and more real users coming onto these platforms. And I think true blockchain adoption across the world is going to be when people are using blockchain without knowing. Like, they shouldn't need to go through all these seed phrase private keys, switching networks, and remembering all these different wallets in order to use something to solve a problem, right? And I think one of the pioneers in this is actually Audius. Audius also in Solana. It's a music streaming platform very similar to SoundCloud, but it's really based on blockchain and it's fully decentralized and free. And what they are doing really smart that can help them adopt real life users, like non no coiners, besides using very famous DJs and musicians as KOLs, they are also using this thing called Hedgehog Wallet, which they built, which is very, very beautiful. Um, it simplifies the whole wallet experience to username and password. And that really can help bridge that gap between like the no coiners and crypto projects.
Yeah, and I think that's massive, really figuring out how to get a lot of these nuances under the hood. So pointing that out and seeing that it's already being done and you guys are recognizing that, it seems like that is a great direction to go there. And something you did touch on is like the sort of cash grab aspects of crypto. And that just happens because of the hype that comes into the market. And in the midterm, I think we can agree the market looks extremely solid. What do you guys kind of thinking puts you apart in how are you looking to kind of solidify yourself as a player in the next 1, 5, 10 years in the space?
Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, sorry, I had to unmute myself. Well, we have our like token, right? And our like token will have a lot of utility functionalities, like a staking pool, as you saw already, or maybe if we will have when we'll have a private DM feature, the users will be able to use this feature through with the like token and pay us a small fee for that. Of course, we're a business, first of all, and we're going to charge some fees for maybe unstaking in the future, or charging a small fees for private DMs, or unlocking the content, or something like that, right? There's many features that we can implement in our field. And
So sorry, like I think definitely like the utility of the token is ultimately what drives the demand for the token. And to answer your question of solidifying our position in the coming years, I think crypto is one very interesting industry where people invest before they use the product. And like ultimately, I feel like at this current age, people that have invested in the token will probably be more likely to try out the platform. So definitely in the short term, it's all about product development, and we're going to ship like the feature that we are saying we're going to ship. And over the long term, we are striving to be the biggest decentralized social platform on any ecosystem. And right now, I would say the winner is probably either BitClout or Rally. Um, and what we're trying to do here is a little bit different. We're not saying how we're better. We're just saying we have a kind of a different value proposition. Right now, most of these other platforms are dealing with something called creator tokens or social currencies, right? And basically, they would create a fungible pool of token for any content creator, and they would expect the audience to trade these tokens because they think the creator will become more and more popular. And personally, I think that's a brilliant idea from a financial point of view, and that is also kind of just leveraging social media to do more trading. And what we're trying to do here is a little bit different. We want to try to prioritize real social engagement because without content creators being active on social media and without these content like audience consuming content, those NFTs and those staking pools are not going to be very useful. So that's the angle we're trying to do, and I guess hopefully that answers your question about what our goal is for the next 5-10 years.
Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense. And I think one of the key things you mentioned there is just shipping products, right? Not letting up on that end. And something we did touch on, like mentioning some of these other social platforms, there hasn't been any that has hit the ground running, at least from my experience hearing. Like the big one I've heard, of course, is BitClout, and there's kind of both sides of the coins there, and crypto Twitter hasn't been too fond around that. So in the sense of what's building in like the decentralized social media space, I wouldn't say it's saturated at all, but when you kind of zoom out in the macro, you have things like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. How do you think you size up and compete with those? And obviously, I think it comes down to leveraging the technology of blockchain. But sort of what are your guys' thoughts there? Because it's such like those are the largest companies in the world that are, in lack of better terms, competition. I don't know how you guys think of that. I'm curious.
Mm. I think the future of social media should really be uh, the theme would be decentralization because social media ultimately is about the people, is about people engaging with each other on a metaverse, and like on any of those platforms you just mentioned, there are a centralized corporation controlling what is allowed or what's not allowed, and a lot of the times people don't like that. And I think that's the exact theme you're seeing, with crypto Twitter, where everyone's anonymous and they would be able to express whatever they want to say. They don't really give a fuck about being banned or anything because they can just make a new account and they're still anonymous. Like I think that's actually quite beautiful in a way. So I think the future of social media of how we fare up against those giants is, you know, this is more a dream than something that we can realize right now, right? Because a fully decentralized social media means a few things. all the data and images and content are stored in a decentralized fashion. So we're talking about Arweave, we're talking about IPFS, and however those storage systems, and Dan can fill me in here, are not really, you can't really use it for operating a whole game on top of it, right? Like you just can't have that sort of data management service. And then on the other side, you also have like these decentralized domains where websites are hosted on domains that cannot be shut down by even governments, right? Like if you have a .eth or .sol domain from Bonfida or from ENS, like you just can't shut it down because some government decided it's not appropriate. And that is another very essential element to being decentralized. And the final element to become a decentralized social platform is to have a very highly functional DAO, a DAO that are actually the people on the platform, and they have the power to tweak the platform, to control the platform, and regulate the platform in the ways they prefer. And they would also probably be able to control the entirety of the supply of the token. Like at that time, maybe I don't know, like maybe they would be the remaining foundation token might be delegated to the DAO, and then they can basically control how that token is being used for example, for a foundation that can hire engineers or maybe to certain marketing material and so on. So when we have all those puzzle pieces in place, then the entire platform can basically run itself by the people.
Yeah, and I think that's precisely kind of hits the head on the nail, leveraging kind of blockchain and really shifting the power to the user. I mean, we're already seeing a lot of things going on with these big tech hearings and talks of just like incorporating trust buster things that the general consensus is that big tech is getting too large. And so I think even in sort of traditional tech, people are starting to gravitate towards this idea of bringing the decisions down to the users more. So I think that is really a huge edge there. And it's just a matter of shipping products and staying consistent and seeing what the market likes about it. But I think that is kind of a massive, people would love to try to apply blockchain, crypto, DeFi to everything. I don't think it's the holy grail solution to everything, but something like this shifting the power, it seems like it's an actual pretty significant use case. Something I am curious of, sort of, and this is a bit of a segue, but sort of the tokenomics of, like, I understand the end goal will probably be to shift this over to the DAO, but as of now, it's something that you guys have set up and designed, and these are pretty delicate, right? Like this isn't something that's been around for incredibly long. Like we're minting this new token and we're putting it into supply. How do you guys go about governing inflation is really the main thing that I feel like users are concerned about.
Mm. Inflation, I think it's all about talking about the inflow and outflow of tokens. Like
Yeah.
most of the earlier forms of decentralized social media, no name drops, but most of them are about rewarding users for creating quality content. And it sounds good and it works during a bull market because everything's pumping and rewarding you makes a lot of sense and all that stuff. But then at the end of the day, if the token has no utility on the platform, then it's just going to become this hyperinflationary model. So at the basis of our design of the tokenomics, we actually took a lot of lessons from Axie Infinity. The way they have a 60-month long vesting schedule for the community reward token, and also the way they structured the platform revenue, which kind of offsets that outflow of token, right? So in a nutshell, what I'm trying to say here is the revenue of the platform needs to be bigger than or equals to the outflow of the token, therefore creating a sustainable equilibrium sort of flow of tokens. And I think that's a key to building any sustainable long-term business, like not just in cryptocurrency space, right? Like you simply can't be giving out more than you're taking in. I think that answers your question. And also, I think what Dan mentioned earlier also is like, what are exactly these utility, right? So you can use these tokens to buy NFTs. You can use these tokens to interact with other creators. You can stake them. You can use this for governance. And you can also use this for other features like paid DMs and so on. So yeah, I think that's the basics of our design of the tokenomics.
Yeah, and I was just curious there because it's a very just I don't even know the word I'm looking for, but it's just a field where there's so many different ways to go about tokenomics, and no one is really sure the right answer. So I was just curious of what your guys' stance there. Obviously, taking something out of a playbook of an already extremely successful project is a great way to go about it. And then just like another little tangent there, I think it's also incredible how well tokens can like proper token emissions can work to bootstrap users, which sounds like you guys are aware of that as well. You're saying people are willing to invest in a token quicker than they are willing to test out the D app. So it sounds like you have a good understanding there of not only, okay, so there's a good amount of inflation is almost what these things sound like. Like, how are you able to bootstrap your users, but then get it to a point of equilibrium? And obviously, there's no perfect answer there, but it sounds like you guys are thinking of that and have at least a revenue model set up to offset that. So I think that's pretty important as well. We are getting closer to the end here, so I'll open up chat and see if anyone wants to ask anything, and then I'll just fire off a couple of quick last questions for myself. And something I was touching on, and we touched on a bit more, um, was the fact of onboarding new users. How do you guys specifically plan to try to button up a lot of these crypto kind of nuances and technicalities for the individual user so it's a seamless platform?
So one of our challenges is to bring the value to the people who never dealt with the crypto, right?
Yes.
And we will try to make it possible through the mobile wallets. Maybe we will use technology something similar to what Audios use, or we will build on our own.
Yeah, and that, I mean, I think that's I mean, it's not that's as simple as it is, because obviously building the mobile app is a massive task and optimizing it. But I think that is really the key there, right? We've been talking about on the stream how people use social media on their phones. So once you guys sound like you're already starting to figure out your product market fit, you have your MVB. I definitely think that's really the big step right now. You're catering to a lot of crypto users. Like, I don't mind. I'll go use the Only1 platform on my desktop, and it'll be a great time. And I imagine a lot of crypto users are in that same boat. So once you figure that out, I think the mobile app is definitely a great sort of onboarding ramp there.
Yeah, it's going to be a big step for us, but it's also going to be a big step for our community. That's where we can reach a big amount of users in a short time.
Yeah, and I also think it is sort of important that you guys aren't in like any sort of massive rush to ship this mobile app. Like, you're obviously pushing for it, but you guys are understanding the fact that, okay, this is a very important product of ours. Like, let's take our time. I have someone in chat asking how many developers are hired. That's probably a quick question. I don't know if you can get that off the top of your head.
Yeah, something that I mentioned before. We have 3 engineers plus me, and
Awesome.
myself also an engineer.
Yeah. And then it looks like someone's trying to just think about of other ways of maximizing token utility. It sounds like in the platform, you guys have a pretty good ecosystem and economy there. They're thinking about linking to other social media platforms. This seems a little bit far out, but any just thoughts there?
No, I like taking ideas from communities, and especially the ones that you can't give answers to right away. Like, it gets you thinking.
Yeah.
Like, number one is, would existing centralized social media be partnering with a decentralized ones, especially for the listed companies out there, right? Like, they probably have a lot of hurdles to go through before partnering with a decentralized platform. And the second thing is, I think um, the simplest way of connecting would be like, if you were to post on Only1, you can click a button and post the same thing to Facebook by integrating with the user login. But that type of integration is probably not what this user is thinking about. But yeah, we'll definitely take note and brainstorm about that more.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. When I was reading that, I'm like, oh, this one's going to be a hard one for Leon because I mean, there's a long way out before that one. But even just like firing off like your quick brainstorm there, like it almost like an integration in that sense where you guys are tapping into their API sounds like that would be amazing for sort of the average user, right? Because they still may want to use those platforms, but not necessarily only be stuck to one platform. So I don't know, just interesting thoughts there. Other than that, to wrap this up, what are you guys most excited about that's coming up? And yeah, I'll just leave it there. I won't add too much to that.
Okay.
When the mobile app will start, we mentioned before, we will start development after we verify that the major functionalities of the desktop are working. That's the staking, private DM, and unlockable content. So once we're sure this is the bug free and it's working perfectly for our desktop users, we'll start the development of the mobile app, which is going to happen in early 2022.
Awesome.
So the question was, what are we most excited about, right? Or what are we most looking forward to? Well, I think um, I personally I would love to see the day when we have 1 million users, monthly active users, not just accounts, and also that would mean we already have a working social feature on the platform, proving that a decentralized social network actually works. I think that is something that we really want to validate and see it happen within the course of next year, within the next few months. And yeah, that's probably it. And what Dan said about the mobile app, I think
Oh,
that's
sorry,
also
I
something.
answered a different question. I was just reading from the
Yeah.
chat.
No worries there. One last thing. I'll sort of wrap this up here. We mentioned, or you mentioned that once you guys do get the sort of content unlocking and direct messaging going on the desktop, you'll look to make that or make the push towards the mobile app. Is there any sort of date on that? I know it's hard to put dates on these things because you really want to make sure they're where they're at and things come up. But General Stack was asking if you guys have any idea of that.
We don't have any date for announcement yet regarding the mobile app because
I
it's
think
still too early
Not the
to
mobile
answer.
app, specifically like the desktop features such as unlocking content.
General Stack is a very familiar name. I think I've seen that name on Twitter. But anyway, I think what we grow and learn as a team continuously, and one thing that we've learned is we need to be ready before we tell the people that there's a date. And we definitely don't want to overpromise. So the official answer would be we are currently developing, and we also will release like prototypes to some of the communities to test it out. If you want to be part of that community, do join our Discord and Telegram, and we would possibly invite you to join our tester group, and you might have a first experience about how these platform actually works. Other than that, I guess same as always, stay tuned.
Yeah. And I mean, that makes sense there. 100%. It's hard to commit on a certain date, especially when things come up and then you end up with community members who are like, wait, but you said this date. And you're like, well, you guys probably wouldn't have enjoyed what we put out if we rushed it. So I appreciate just being honest there and saying, look, we are building it. When it's ready, when we're happy with it, it'll come. And it's not like this is years out. You guys are kind of following along with your roadmap. So sounds like you guys are building some pretty cool things over at Only1. I'm excited to see sort of the content that gets posted on there, test out what's going on with the content unlock and everything like that. Other than that, I think I'm all good to wrap it up. I really appreciate you guys jumping on here. It looks like Leon's taking us on a little tour here.
Yeah, my laptop's up running out of battery, so I had to walk around and get the thing. This is our office. This is where all the magic happens.
Awesome.
There, my team's actually watching a live stream, and I just realized there's a delay.
And it's 2 a.m. in the morning in Hong Kong.
Oh yeah, it's
Just for
2
your
a.m.
information.
You guys are going at it. That is the crypto startup culture there. Leon just going for it, not complaining
Yes.
about the live stream time at all, jumping
Yeah,
on
our,
and
our
just
team is just too distributed right now. Like I think Dan is, are you in Mexico?
I'm in Costa Rica.
Uh, and then some of our team is in LA, some of them are in Bosnia, Portugal. So I realized like the time we're most active is around now. So I'm actually very awake and it's a good timing.
definitely. All right, guys, I am going to boot you off here, wrap this thing up. I really appreciated you guys jumping on, getting some insight into the platform. I'm personally pretty excited to see this content unlocking. I think it'll be really interesting. You guys already have some good creators on there. So it looks like you guys are kind of off to a running start. And I'm excited to see what the rest of the year has for you guys and then onward from there.
Yeah, we're
Thank you.
excited too. Thanks.
Yeah, awesome, guys. Peace out. I'm sure we'll catch up soon, and then we'll be looking out for the latest developments that you guys have going on here at Solana News as well.
Awesome. Thank you,
Yeah,
Greg.
thanks.
Awesome. Peace out, guys. Sweet. So that concludes our fireside chat AMA with Only1. Overall, the platform looks like they're building a ton of things. I like what they're doing. Shifting the onus away from big tech is really what seems like a massive edge here. Staying tuned for some of the latest developments, having the content unlock, direct messages, and then I really just like the entire funnel they have set up. It's not set up that okay, only the creator earns, or once you buy the NFT, you might be stuck with something useless. Once you buy the NFT, you own, in essence, the IP to the content. So it really creates an entire ecosystem that it sounds like it'll make sense. And I mean, the team looks dedicated to pushing out new products, and that's the most important. With startups, you don't always know the holy grail solution. It's quite literally impossible, right? You don't know exactly what the market is going to like. So being diligent, having a good team, and just constantly pushing out products is incredibly important. So it looks like that's what Only1 is doing. And I'm excited to see what's coming up. Other than that, guys, stay tuned for more content. We'll be doing tons more of these live streams. We also just have all sorts of DeFi content going on, and it's just getting started. So please go ahead, subscribe, like the video, and we will catch you